Early morning in the sleepy town of Elmridge, pale sunlight filtered through the trees on Maple Drive. School buses lined up, the hum of a lawnmower echoed across the lawn. Officer Natalie Brooks sipped cold coffee from her patrol car, her eyes scanning the familiar landscape through the window. Beside her, Odin, a German Shepherd K9, sat silent but alert, his ears erect like antennas for every signal. To Natalie, this was just another shift, no stress, no surprises. But Odin was different. There was something in his deep brown eyes waiting to be revealed. And in a few minutes, that peace would be shattered completely by a bark and a seemingly harmless garbage truck. The patrol car had just turned off Maple Street when Natalie noticed the town garbage truck slowing to a stop in front of a house with a white picket fence. The driver, a middle-aged man, jumped out, threw the trash bag into the bin, and climbed back into the cab as usual. Natalie was about to press the accelerator to continue her journey when Odin suddenly shifted his stance. The dog suddenly straightened muscles, tensing like steel wire. Odin's ears pricked up, eyes focused on the dumpster, as if something was wrong. Natalie squinted, and before she could react, Odin sprang to his feet, barking urgently. Not a normal warning. Bark, a warning growl, panicked and determined. "Odin, what's wrong?" Natalie asked. But the dog didn't turn around. He pulled on the leash, his body shaking slightly with tension. Sensing something was wrong, Natalie immediately opened the car door. Odin jumped out, ran straight to the back of the dumpster, and began barking furiously, clawing at the metal wall as if trying to tear it open. The garbage truck driver turned back bewildered. "What's the matter, officer?" Natalie held up a hand to stop the machine. She knew Odin would never react like that unless something truly dangerous was happening. The air around them suddenly felt thick, as if something terrible was about to unfold. The driver cut the engine, and a silence fell over the neighborhood, as if someone had held their breath. Odin barked and growled and clawed at the back door of the garbage truck until his paws drew blood. Natalie hurried over, placing a reassuring hand on the dog's back, but she couldn't calm his agitation. "Open the back door! Hurry!" she said, her voice as taut as a bowstring. The driver's hand shook as he turned the lock. When the door swung open, the smell of moldy trash, sour and chemical, made Natalie turn away. Odin jumped up on the side of the car, sniffing frantically among the plastic bags, crumpled newspapers, and dirty fabrics. He stopped before a thin, stained blanket rolled into a ball and let out a strange groan. Natalie climbed up, her heart pounding in her chest. Her hands shook as she began to pull the blanket back, layer by layer. She had braced herself for anything animal, carcasses, drugs, even weapons. But not this. Under the old blankets lay a baby girl, no more than a few months old. Her skin was pale, her lips dry, and cracked, her body cold. Her eyes were half open, half lidded, hovering between life and death. Natalie was speechless. "Oh my God, it's a baby," she whispered. Odin stood still, as if holding his breath, his dark eyes filled with an indescribable pain. Natalie picked up the baby, clutching it to her chest, as if protecting a fragile ray of hope. "She's alive," she shouted. "Call an ambulance now." The sound of an ambulance siren echoed in the distance, and in Natalie's arms, a tiny life was gasping for its last breaths of life. And it all started with the instinctive bark of a loyal K9 dog. The ambulance siren echoed through the quiet neighborhood, tearing apart the space that was used to the sounds of children playing and the cawing of crows at the end of winter. Natalie jumped down from the garbage truck, holding the little girl wrapped in a dirty blanket, her breath coming out in hazy puffs of worry and cold. In her arms, the baby still did not cry, only trembled slightly, her cloudy eyes blinking weakly, as if they would stop blinking at any moment. Odin ran close behind her, never leaving her side. The people stood around silent, some covering their mouths at the sight of the child. No one said anything, but in their eyes there was fear, anger, and the unspoken question: who could do such a cruel thing? The ambulance arrived and 2 paramedics jumped out, carrying oxygen tanks, blankets, and vital signs. Natalie gently placed the baby on the stretcher. She's breathing, but she's very weak. Her skin is cold and blue, and she may have severe hypothermia, she said, her voice cracking with emotion. One of the staff nodded, still working quickly. "We'll stabilize her on the way to the hospital. She has a chance." As the stretcher was lifted into the car, Odin lifted his front legs onto the bumper, whimpering softly as if he didn't want to let go of the girl. Natalie gently pulled him back. "She'll be fine thanks to you." The ambulance doors slammed shut and the vehicle sped away, leaving the crowd still in the middle of the street. An elderly woman sobbed, mumbling a prayer. A father hugged his son tighter. Natalie stood still, her heart pounding. She had seen many heartbreaking scenes in her career, but never had her heart been squeezed like this. She bent down, placing her hand on Odin's head. "You are a hero," she whispered. "If it weren't for you, this would have been a very different day." Odin looked up at her, his tail wagging slightly as if he understood he had just saved a small life and changed the fate of an entire life. Within hours of the shocking rescue, news of Odin and the baby girl was shared across social media platforms, online, newspapers, and local television shows. The first images of the German Shepherd standing on a dumpster, his eyes strained, and of Officer Natalie holding the newborn in her arms, became a viral symbol of courage and miraculous instinct. The posts received thousands of shares. People everywhere expressed their emotions. Many commented miracles still exist in this world, or not all heroes wear badges. Some have 4 legs. The local television station invited Natalie to share her story on the evening news. When the anchor asked what had moved her most, Natalie simply looked down at Odin lying at her feet and replied, "He didn't just save one life, he awakened an entire community to faith, to life, and to love." At the police station, Odin was awarded the Medal of Honor for Outstanding Service Dog. During the ceremony, several officers wiped away tears as the little girl, now stable, reached out to touch Odin's shiny black nose. The gesture, simple yet profound, was a thank you beyond words. From then on, Odin became more than just a K9. He was a living symbol of hope, loyalty, and the healing power that comes from the smallest of creatures. At Havenport Hospital, the newborn was rushed to the intensive care unit, hypothermic and exhausted. Doctors and nurses worked through the night, trying to resuscitate her while closely monitoring her every weak breath. They didn't know her real name, but after what happened, everyone began calling her by just one name: Hope. Hope was a symbol of miracle in a world of chaos. No one understood how such a small child could survive in the cold, unheated garbage without a blanket or a human voice. But Hope did not give up. She moved, she breathed, and most importantly, she cried weakly when she was pulled from the dirty blanket by the shaking hands of Officer Natalie. Thanks to Odin's irreplaceable guidance, the good news spread throughout the hospital. Doctors smiled, nurses teared up as they watched Hope's skin turn pink again, her eyes flutter open, and her tiny fingers curl around a nurse's hand. Natalie stood silently in front of the glass of the intensive care unit, her hand over her heart filled with gratitude. She turned to Odin, who was lying peacefully in the hospital hallway, watching Hope through the glass. Natalie knelt down and buried her face in his thick fur. "No one else could have done it, Odin," she whispered. "You brought light back from the darkest place." And from that day on, Hope became more than just a girl's name. It was a reminder that no matter how much darkness life throws at us, with just one act of love, one pure instinct, light can always shine. A week after the shocking event, the entire town of Elmridge gathered in the central square for an unprecedented solemn ceremony to honor Odin, the service dog who saved the life of a little girl abandoned in a garbage truck. Under a clear blue sky, the national flag fluttered and the seats were packed with people. Citizens, police, doctors, and even children were present. In the center of the stage, Odin sat next to Officer Natalie in a K9 hero vest. His fur was neatly groomed, his eyes calm, but lit up when he heard the familiar call. The mayor stepped up to the podium, his voice filled with emotion. That day a dog could not speak, but with instinct and loyalty, he shouted to the world that life needed saving. The applause was deafening. And then the moment that silenced the crowd, a nurse carried Hope, now healthy, rosy-cheeked, to the stage. Natalie took her and knelt beside Odin. Hope, as if guided by her childlike intuition, raised her small hand to touch Odin's wet nose. In that moment, she smiled for the first time since she was found. The crowd erupted, no one could hold back their tears. Natalie placed her hand on Odin's back, looking proudly at her loyal friend. To her, he was more than just a comrade. He was a living symbol, a testament to the fact that sometimes a small life can be saved simply by the heart of a dog. The story of Odin and Little Hope is not only an extraordinary act of life-saving by a service dog, but also a poignant reminder of the power of loyalty, love, and hope, even in the darkest of circumstances. In a world filled with chaos, sometimes it is the seemingly silent creatures who hear best. Odin did not miss what everyone else might have missed, a faint heartbeat in a lifeless garbage truck. The biggest takeaway message is, never underestimate the power of love and vigilance. A small act, a careful listen, or a little sensitivity at the right time can save a life. The story also emphasizes the importance of never losing hope. Little Hope was found with virtually no chance of survival, but it was Odin's courageous actions that rewrote her fate and inspired an entire community. The lesson for all of us: care, pay attention, and believe that kindness, whether from humans or animals, can change the world.